Hi, this is Lynn Dornblaser from Mintel, and I'm going to take just a couple minutes to talk about what we see going on in new product development and in innovation. And first, to start it off, I really want to say that how important innovation is when it comes to the market, when it comes to the success of companies. We see so many new products introduced in the market every year. In the U.S. market, across all consumer packaged goods categories, it's about 40,000 new products are introduced every year. And the ones that make it are the ones that tie in with key consumer trends and have some sort of significant point of difference. So I want to mention a couple of the big trends that we see going on and how we see products fitting into those trends. There are 5 big ones I want to mention very briefly. The first one is what we call wellness is inescapable. And what we mean by that is wellness goes across all types of categories, is something that all consumers can engage in some way or another, and it's far more than just physical health and nutrition, but it's also about spiritual, mental, and emotional health as well. So as a result, we see companies offering products that provide that comfort food solution, where it might be a really yummy mac and cheese, let's say. But we also see products that focus on environmental concerns and ones that help consumers work out how to eat in the very best way that they can. When it comes to this big idea of wellness being inescapable, what we recommend, what we say to companies is think about what you do, how what you do can fit into this very broad, big picture. Don't think just about calorie restriction, fat restriction, whatever it may be, but think about wellness in the very broadest sense. The second big trend is something that we call the authenticity of wear. And that's, in a way, that's kind of like today's version of localism. Used to be when we talked about eating local, there was so much talk about eating within 100 miles of where you live, let's say. And that's really changed, mostly because of the recession. It's simply not practical for consumers to do that. So what we see instead is we see companies focusing not on products being, just on products being local, but rather talking about where they come from and about how that where is the very best place for them. So the reasons might be varied. It might be about sustainability. It might be about food safety, most definitely. And it might be about simply that happens to be the very best place to grow or produce that particular product. What that does, the benefit to the consumer, is that helps connect the consumer more closely to your product because they understand where it's from and why it's important that it come from there. We see great examples out there in the marketplace. Certainly one type of product that really epitomizes this trend is every single craft beer that we see on the market and how those products really do have such a strong sense of place. Now, the third big trend, and these first 3 really fit together, the third big trend is what we call mainstreaming natural. We've been talking about natural for quite a long time at Mintel, but natural really is changing as well. We see some consumers being skeptical about that all-natural label, and that label being all-encompassing and very poorly defined and, as you know, not regulated at all. So what we're seeing is we're seeing a shift, and we're seeing more products talking about not so much that all-natural label, but talking about the inherent goodness or the attributes of the specific ingredients. So that might be talking a little bit more about clean labels, talking about minimal packaging, and also this ties very much back to the authenticity of wear. Something that's important to keep in mind when it comes to products that do talk about natural ingredients is that it isn't just for premium priced products anymore. Of course, we see plenty of products with natural positioning from retailers like Whole Foods. They're sold in more premium outlets, but the flip side is Walmart, for example, has a line of natural products, part of its market side line, and so that really does mean that it's accessible for everyone out there. And we see so many products that really fit into this trend, and one of them happens to be one of the Hypeworthy nominees. So actually several of them happen to be among the Hypeworthy nominees. So you really can see this idea of naturalness showing up everywhere. Number 4 is what we call value is for everyone. What we see going on with value is that value, or products that are have some sort of an economy positioning, aren't just for the lowest quality, lowest priced products, but rather value operates along a very broad spectrum. We see premium products in value channels. We see value products in premium channels. We see blurring of private label. We see expansion of value brands from major manufacturers. So what that means is, what we say is that value is a situational benefit, meaning just about any company can play in that value space. One example of that, one very easy example of that, is how we see more companies offering larger sizes or multi-serve sizes of products that originally had been single-serve. So all of a sudden you're getting a better value for that particular product because the cost per serving goes down. But that doesn't mean that it's a low-cost product. So there's so much to think about in terms of how to play in that value space, and to keep in mind that it isn't just about being inexpensive. And then the last big trend is one that we call Phoenix brands. And this is a little trend, but certainly a very important one to keep in mind. And it's simply this. I think every company that has CPG products or works with companies that have CPG products should take a look at the failed or failing product portfolio. So take a look at those brands from those companies that may have failed or that may be in trouble, and see how they can be reinvigorated and revitalized and rise again, just like a phoenix. And there are some really good and important examples that we see out there in the marketplace of brands that are quite old but have reinvented themselves, yet staying true to their core brand values. So big picture, those are 5 major CPG trends we see going on out there in the marketplace today. And as you'll see, as you look at the all the Hypeworthies nominees, you'll see how many of them fit into those specific trends.